Dr Seuss's Sleep Book. This book is to be read in bed. Dr Seuss's Sleep Book. The news just came in from the county of Kek that a very small bug by the name of Van Vleck is yawning so wide you can look down his neck. This may not seem very important, I know, but it is, so I'm bothering telling you so. A yawn is quite catchy, you see, like a cough. It just takes one yawn to start other yawns off. Now the news has come in that some friends of Van Vleck's are yawning so wide you can look down their necks. At this moment right now, under 7 more noses, great yawns are in blossom, they're blooming like roses. The yawn of that one little bug is still spreading. According to latest reports, it is heading across the wild fields, the sleepy night air, across the whole country toward every which where, and people are gradually starting to say, I feel rather drowsy, I've had quite a day. Creatures are starting to think about rest. 2 differ-dawn birds are now building their nest. They do it each night, and often I quite wonder, how do they big jobs without making a blunder? But that is their problem, not yours and not mine. The point is, they're going to bed, and that's fine. Sleep thoughts are spreading throughout the whole land. The time for night brushing of teeth is at hand. Up at Henkheimen Falls, where the great river rushes and crashes down cracks in great gargling gushes, the Herkheimen sisters are using their brushes. Those falls are just grand for toothbrushings beneath, if you happen to be up that way with your teeth. The news just came in from the castle of Krupp that the lights are all out and the drawbridge is up, and the old drawbridge drawer just said with a yawn, My drawbridge is drawn and I'm going to stay drawn till the milkman delivers the milk about dawn. I'm going to bed now, so nobody better come round with a special delivery letter. The number of sleepers is steadily growing. Bed is where more and more people are going. In Culpeper Springs, in the Stilt Walkers' Hall, the Stilt Walkers' stilts are all stacked on the wall. The Stilt Walker walkers have called it a day. They're all tuckered out and they're snoozing away. This is very big news, it's important to know, and that's why I'm bothering telling you so. Way out in the west, in the town of Medice, the Hinkle Horn Honking Club just went to bed. Every horn has been quietly hung on a hook for the night in its own private Hinklehorn nook. All this long happy days they've been honking about, and the Hinklehorn honkers have honked themselves out. But they'll wake up quite fresh in the morning, and then they'll all start Hinklehorn honking again. Everywhere creatures are falling asleep. The collapsible frink just collapsed in a heap, and by adding the frink to the others before, I am able to give you the Who's Asleep score. Right now, 40,404 creatures are happily, deeply in slumber. I think you'll agree that's a whopping fine number. Counting up sleepers, just how do we do it? Really quite simple. There's nothing much to it. We find out how many, we learn the amount, by an audio-teleo-tallio count. On a mountain halfway between Reno and Rome, we have a machine in a plexiglass dome which listens and looks into everyone's home, and whenever it sees a new sleeper go flop, it jiggles and lets out a big old ball drop. Our chap counts these balls as they plop in a cup, and that's how we know who's down and who's up. Do you talk in your sleep? It's a wonderful sport, and I have some news of this sport to report. The world champion sleep talkers, Joe and Maud Redzoff, have just gone to sleep, and they're talking their heads off. For 55 years now each chattering brother has babbled and gabbled all night to the other. They're talking about laws, and they're talking about gauze, and they're talking about paws, and they've talked about floors. They've talked quite a lot about old Santa Claus, and the reason I'm telling you this is because you should take up this sport. It's just fine for the paws. Do you walk in your sleep? I just had a report of some interesting news of this popular sport. Near Finnegan Fen, there's a sleepwalking group which not only walks, but it walks a hula hoop. Every night they go miles while they walk to such length. They have had to keep eating to keep up their strength. So every so often one puts down his hoop, stops hooping, and does some quick snooping for soup. And that's why they're known as the Hoop Soup Snoop Group. Sleepwalking too are the curious crandalls who sleepwalk on hills with assorted sized candles. The crandalls walk nightly in slumbering peace, in spite of slight burns from the hot, dripping grease. The crandalls wear candles because they walk far, and if they wake up, want to see where they are. Now the news has arrived from the Valley of Vile that a Chippendale mupp has just bitten his tail, which he does every night before shutting his eyes. Such nipping sounds silly, but really it's wise. He has no alarm clock, so this is the way. He makes sure he'll wake up at the right time of day. His tail is so long he won't feel any pain, till the nip makes the trip and gets up to his brain. In exactly 8 hours, the Chippendale mupp will at last feel the bite and yell, "Ouch!" and wake up. A Mr. and Mrs. J. Carmichael Crocs have just gone to bed near the town of Fort Knox, and they, by the way, have the finest of clocks. I'm not at all sure that I quite understand just how the thing works with that one extra hand, but I do know this clock does one very slick trick. It doesn't tick-tock, it just goes tock-tick. So with this ticks is tocker and tocks it is ticker. It saves lots of time and the sleepers sleep quicker. What a fine night for sleeping, for all that I hear. It's the best night for sleeping in many a year. They're even asleep in the Zimbabwe motel, and people don't just usually sleep there too well. The beds are like rocks, and as everyone knows, the sheets are too short. They won't cover your toes. So if people are actually sleeping in there, it's a great night for sleeping. It must be the air. It's a great night for snores. I just had a report of some boys who are tops in this musical sport. The snortiest snorers in all our fair land are Snorter McFrow and his Snore a Snort band. This band can snore Dixie and Old Swain River, so loud it would make 40 elephants shiver. The loudest of all the boys is McPhil. He snores with his head in a 3-gallon pail. So they snore in a cave 20 miles out of town. If they snored closer in, they would snore the town down. Do you know who's asleep out in Funa Laguna? 2 very nice Funa Laguna Boona. We've added them into our Who's Asleep count, which has grown to a really amazing amount. Exactly 8,808 creatures are sleeping. Isn't that great? A Jed is in bed, and the bed of a Jed is the softest of beds in the world, as it is said. He makes it from pom-poms he grows on his head, and he's sleeping right now on the softest of fluff, completely exhausted after growing the stuff. The news has come in from the district of Doff that 2 oft are sleeping and sleeping aloft. And how are they able to sleep off the ground? I'll tell you. I weighed one last week and I found that an off is so light he weighs minus 1 pound. A moose is asleep. He is dreaming of moose drinks. A goose is asleep. He is dreaming of goose drinks. That's well and good when a moose dreams of moose juice, and nothing goes wrong when a goose dreams of goose juice. But it isn't too good when a moose and a goose start dreaming their drinks about other one's juice. Moose juice, not goose juice, is juice for a moose. And goose juice, not moose juice, is juice for a goose. So when goose gets a mouthful of juices of mooses, and mooses gets a mouthful of juices of gooses, they always fall out of their beds screaming screams. So I'm warning you now, never drink in your dreams. Speaking of dreaming, I think you should note that the Bubble Tub Club is now dreaming afloat. Every night they go dreaming down Bubble Tub Creek, except for one night, every 3rd or 4th week, when they stop for repairs because their bubble tubs leak. But tonight they're afloat, full of dreams, full of bliss, and that's why I'm bothering telling you this. At the fork of a road in the Vale of Vavode, 5-foot weary salesmen have laid down their load. All day they have raced around in the heat at top speeds, unsuccessfully trying to sell zizazoof seeds, which nobody wants, because nobody needs. Tomorrow will come, and they'll go back to their chore. They'll start on the road, zizazoofing once more, but tonight they've forgotten their feet are so sore, and that's why the wonderful night time is for. Everywhere, creatures have shut off their voices. They've all gone to bed, in the bed of their choices. They're sleeping in nooks and they're sleeping in cracks, some on their tummies and some on their backs. They're peacefully sleeping in comfortable holes, some even on soft, tough barber shop poles. The number of sleepers is now past the millions. The number of sleepers is now in the billions. They're sleeping on steps and on strings and on floors, in mailbox chips and keyholes of doors. Every worm on a fishhook is safe for the night. Every fish in the sea is too sleepy to bite. Every whale in the ocean has turned off his spout. Every light between here and Farfoodle is out. And now, adding things, we are way beyond billions. Our Who's Asleep score is now up in the zillions. 99 zillion, 9 trillion and 2 creatures are sleeping. So how about you? When you put out your light, then the number will be 99 zillion, 9 trillion and 3. Good night.